How you doing? It's your Coach Renz. This is your real estate agent and advisor, Larenzo with Remax Metro City Side, Atlanta. I'm gonna give people a little bit of time to get on as we are going to discuss um, maximizing your credit in order to become a homeowner. It's an interesting time that we're in right now. Um, the fact that let me move some stuff around here. The fact that we're in this time frame where people are asking the question repeatedly, like, should I buy a home right now? Is right now a good time to buy a home? And I gotta tell you, right now is one of the best times to buy a home, especially if you're in the Atlanta market. I'm working on 3 cameras, right? So we got YouTube for my Homes for Sale Atlanta page over here. I appreciate everybody on that page. Please subscribe. Got my YouTube for my regular Larenzo Reed page, and we're over here on Facebook. I'm gonna do one share real quick, but many people are asking, should they buy a home right now? Is this a good time to buy a home in Atlanta, especially since this is my market that I work in? And I got to tell you that right now is a great time. It's a great time to buy a home. The next few months are going to be a great time to buy a home. If you are on my Homes for Sale Atlanta page, then you may have seen my video where I discuss the fact that we are that the interest rate. I've discussed 2 things that are primary, impactful. How you doing, Monica? And that is that the interest rate right now is extremely low. We have a low interest rate. So this is the lowest the interest rate has been in 40 since the 1970s. So right now is a great time to grab a great interest rate. What's up, Luther? How you doing? And I went into that in depth as far as how this market is going to shift. This interest rate it dropped down because the bond market like exploded when the um, stock market had that 2,000 point crash. And so the bond market exploded. When the bond market explodes up, then the interest rate for mortgages go down. Many people who were refinancing their homes took advantage of that opportunity, and they are refinancing their home right now, getting that lower interest rate because they may have been at 5 or 6, and now to get down to 4 or 3 is a great opportunity, and so they're taking advantage. So now the interest rate has moved back up to right around 3.8. With a 3.8 interest rate, depending upon where your credit is, you're going to fall, between that 3.8 and upwards of like 6 or even 7. But the question is, should you be getting a mortgage right now? And you should. And for many people, there are a few things that you can do really quick to increase your credit score so that you can get a better rate, because a half a point will make a huge difference in your payment. A half a point is going to be thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, depending upon the size of the house, that you're going to be able to save as far as the long term of your mortgage. And even if you did an amortization schedule, the ability to get a half a point or a whole point down on your mortgage is going to be a tremendous thing as far as you saving money on how much you're spending. So, as I said, right now is a great time, Coco, to to buy a house. If you've been looking for that opportunity, if you've been waiting, but many of us need to get our credit together. You need to get your credit together. And now, today, I just want to go over a few things that can impact your credit score in the next 2 months, so that you can be in position to grab up a great mortgage in the next few months. Now, of course, many people are looking forward to getting their income taxes and getting their stimulus checks and all these sorts of things, which is going to be able to provide you with the down payment that some of you are going to need in order to get a mortgage. If you saw my other video where I talked about the fact that there is a difference between a VA loan and an FHA loan. The majority of people end up getting, if you're not a veteran, the majority of people end up getting a FHA loan. Now, with an FHA loan, if your credit score is 500 to 579, you're going to need 10% down. With a credit score of 580 and up, then you only have to put 3.5% down. So then the question is, like, which one, where do you want to be, in order to make sure that, I mean, 10% is a lot, and you don't want to go, you don't want to have to go get a larger bridge loan in order, or a second mortgage, in order for you to be able to get that FHA loan. Because the difference is this: let's say you wanted a $200,000 house, right? Let's just use this, even on like 200,000. You wanted a $200,000 house. You need, basically is $3,500 per 100,000. So you're gonna need $7,000 to get a $200,000 home. Now, the difference between your credit score being 579 and 580 is the fact that you will have to come out your pocket or find or get a bridge loan for $7,500, or a bridge loan for $20,000. That's a huge difference. That is a $12,500 difference, simply because of a few points on your credit score. So when I'm telling you that it is imperative for you to take time right now, how you doing, James, Quincy, Roderick? Take time right now, Roderick and Deidre, how y'all doing, to work on your credit score. This is the time. This is the time. And there's a few things you can do to increase your credit score really quickly over the next 2 months, so that if you are hanging around 560, you're hanging around 580, you want to get into the 620s. Because getting a convention, now, for those of you who want to get a conventional loan and you see the rate is like 3.8 and you want that, you got to be 740 and above. All right, you got to be 740 and above to get that. So how do we get there? Now, some of you guys know that on my Coach Renz page, it's CO Coach and RENZ. There's a DIY book that I had written a few years ago that tells you everything you need to know as far as how to fix your credit and your situation, and then getting on a budget and working your finances in such a way that you don't find yourself in financial trouble anymore. So if you want the book, go to coachren.com and purchase the book. All right. And oh man, my YouTube for my actual page is going crazy over here. For my YouTube page for buying a house is going crazy. How you doing, Paula? So let's go over a few things. Now, let's go over a few things. One of the first things that many people have on their credit score that's hindering them, I'm talking, you got say 20, 25 points. Coco, so says I am over. And if you have a question, go ahead and throw it out there, and I'll try to stop wherever I am to answer your questions. I don't want to miss anybody's questions. I'm over 600 slightly, but I have things on my credit that still affect me. That doesn't mean I have to pay it off. It depends on what it is. Now, I was just about to say something about that, because this is something that I recently did myself. So I had two creditors, right? Two of them. Now, I submitted my letters in order to try to get them to just fall off my credit. There's a certain letter, but it got to have certain wording. Don't go onto like the Credit Karmas and all those places, or even go to Equifax or TransUnion and do their computer generated automatic challenge. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it won't work, because it filters through just the computer. The computer is just going to recognize it, and everything's great. But there's a letter that I gave out for a while. But in this letter, it tells them, hey, if you have to provide me 6 copies of the report showing that you investigated it. They got to show you a copy of the contract that I had between the company, according to the Fair Credit Act, and it has all this information, all this language in it, this legal language, to get the person to realize, the company, to realize how much work they got to do in order to validate this. Chandel Avino, how you doing? And so I did that, right? Sent the letter. Some stuff dropped off my credit when I first did it. 2 things didn't drop off. Then I sent a secondary letter. They still stayed on there. Then I sent a letter to the CEO of the company. Still stayed on there. So I got to that point where, you just have to say, I got to pay it off. So I called them. Now, many people in credit restoration groups, they will say, oh, send them a letter, pay the whole thing off. And I used to say this myself, pay the whole thing. You got to pay the whole thing off. But there's a little secondary part. if you make a deal with them, still insist that they provide you with a pay to delete letter. That even in the deal that you're making, they will, and I tell them, okay, so first I'm on the phone with them and I tell them, I, just as they say, this call is recorded for credit, whatever. I, how you doing, Lawanda? When I'm talking to them, I call them and I said, hey, this phone call is being recorded. I let them know that I'm recording the phone call, right? You have to do that by law. So let them know I'm recording the phone call. Then I made sure, even when they offered the deal of what the payoff on those things are going to be, I made sure that that person on the phone stipulated that they will delete the entire record off my credit. So the entire thing has to come off my credit. And I made sure that they actually said, hi, Donna, how are you? I made sure that they actually said that they will send me a letter stating that they will delete it completely off my credit. All right. So you send that letter in. So that's when you pay it off. All right. So Coco, if you got something on there that's a collection, and you've done the thing where you say I don't, you haven't spoken to them in 2 years, right? And so you sent the paperwork off saying that you don't have a contract with the collection agency, but depending on the collection agency, they will keep it on there. They know how to even get around the letter itself, and they will keep it on there. And you finally just have to pay them. Then make sure that they stipulate that they're going to drop it off your credit. And the reason why is that that one collection is 20 to 25 points on your credit score. 20 to 25 points on your credit score. So if you're slightly over 600, that 20 to 25 points could mean a half point on a mortgage. And a half point on a mortgage is tens of thousands of dollars. A half point on a mortgage is a couple of $100, depending on the house. Like if it's a $500,000 house, then that's a few $100s in your payment. Instead of it being like a $3,000 a month payment, you could be looking at a $2,500 a month payment. Or if it's a $300,000 house, which at the current interest, at a 4% interest rate right now, you're looking at about $1,500 a month on that payment. And that's if you get that 4. But imagine if you get but if you were to end up at 4.5 or 4.5 itself, then you just went from 1,500 to like 1,900 or 2,000, 2,200 on that same house, because you're paying a heck of a lot more in interest over the life of the loan. So just getting that 25 points because you made sure you got a pay to delete letter. Now, you also want to ask them, when do you run your cycles? When do you report to the credit agencies? Some people report twice a month, some people report once a month, but you want to get all of that recorded. Make sure you get the pay to delete letter, and then what's up, nature, sorry, nature is God. Make sure you get all of that before, and you get there, because they're not going to send you the letter most of the time before you pay it. You're going to have to pay it, then they send you the letter. But get them on a recorded line and make sure they state that they're going to delete it once you pay it. That way, when you get the payoff, if they didn't send you a pay to delete letter or they don't delete it, you still have that recording that you can then submit to say that, hey, they promised to pay this off. Hey, Karen. Hey, Patrice, that they will pay this off. What's up, Kenneth? And like I said, that's 25 points, right? That's 20 to 25 points right there on your credit score. So now you can do that. That's one thing. And this video is not going to be long. We're not going to be on here too long because I'm not giving you guys the whole everything, because we'd be here for all day. That's why I wrote the DIY book, financial alchemy. That's on my website, Coach Renz. But as a realtor though, one of the things that I come against is people not being able to get pre-approved. And so let me go ahead and talk about that for a second. There's a difference between being pre-qualified for a mortgage and being pre-approved. You see, you can go get pre-qualified for a mortgage, and then when it comes time to actually, we've done the contract, and we made the offer, and everything is good to go, and then we go into time to close on that loan, and you were just pre-qualified. You weren't pre-approved. You're still hanging in the air, and you may not get that loan, right? Or the loan may come in at a different interest rate that you're willing to accept. So you want to get pre-approved. And also, when we make an offer, so we what's up, John? We make an offer to purchase a home, and you fall in love with this home. You're emotionally connected to this home, but if you're pre-approved, when we go to the seller, we got more leverage. There are many sellers out there who won't deal with somebody who sends. They won't take an offer seriously if the person doesn't have a pre-approval letter. So when you get pre-qualified, throw that crap away. Go get pre-approved. All right, get pre-approved. That's why, like, if you guys were working with me and I was your realtor, I would suggest to you 3 different companies that I work with in order to get you pre-approved, and then we go from there to find the house. Then we go to your wish list. But don't get pre-qualified. That means nothing until you get pre-approved. So get pre-approved. But before you do that, let's get your credit higher. So what's another thing that you can do to raise your credit, to maximize your credit? All right. I've talked about this before, but I'm assuming that you guys never saw the video where I talked about getting a 31-point bump on your credit score or 81-point bump on your credit score. Well, one of the things that I did, a good 2 years ago. Yeah, a good 2 years ago. And it's still valid. You can do it right now. And actually, I'm contemplating doing it again right now. Is if you're a member of a credit union, but if you're not, go join a credit union. So first, go join a credit union. All right. There are plenty you can join. I'm with Navy Federal. Love Navy Federal. If you're military, go to Navy Federal. You got military family, go to Navy Federal because their system is very easy. But go to a credit union. Do a $1,000 pledge loan. What this means, the way a pledge loan works, is that it's just a credit building tool. You go there, you give them $1,000, right? You set up a savings account, and then you say, "Here's $1,000, and I want a pledge loan on this $1,000." The bank is going to take your $1,000, then they're going to give it back to you in about 10 minutes after they process and say, "Here's your $1,000 loan," right? How you doing, Lynette? Here's your $1,000 loan. Then ask the bank, the credit union, they're going to tell you what your monthly payment is. And so let's say your monthly payment is $42, well, $84 a month is what it's probably going to be, about $84 a month. So they say it's $84 a month over this 12-month time frame. And then say, what's the total interest for the time frame of the loan? The total interest for the time frame of the loan is $50. Just throwing a number out there. So take that first payment of $84 and plus $50, right? So that's what's that? 100 and my math is just throwing me off. That's $134. What's up, Casey? Casey McManus, how you doing, man? Marlando, Kevin. So take that $134. Leave that in that savings account because that's where the account they're gonna be pulling your payment from. Leave that $134 in that savings account. Take the remaining money that you had from your $1,000, put that back into your regular money. Go do whatever you want to do with it, pay your bills, however you live your life. Leave that $134 in there, and every month they're gonna pull. Yeah, thank you, 134. Thank you, James. They're gonna pull their 84 out. Then 3-4 days later, they're gonna put $81 back in that account, and then the next month they're going to pull 84 out again, but you already got the whole 134. You got the total amount of interest plus that 1 month payment already in that account. It's going to rotate, and your payments are going to be on point. But within 30 days, because you're doing this shared loan, they're going to report that within 30 days, and you're going to get this 30-point boost in your credit score simply because you did this pledge loan, especially if you don't have a lot of credit. So if you are like, let's say you're at 570, 540, well, not 540. You're at like 570, 560. You need to get over 580 to qualify for FHA loan and only have to put 3.5% down. Do the pledge loan. Get those 30 points. That 30 points, all is great, bro. Get those 30 points, and that will get you into the FHA loan where you only need 3.5% down, and you don't need the rest. You don't have to put 10% down. Trust me, putting 10% down is hard for most people. if you think about it, like I said, every $100,000 is $3,500, right? So if you're looking at a $300,000 house, that is, so that's 10,500, I believe. Yeah, 10,500. So that's $10,500. Um, Luther said, even if you don't have credit, if you don't have credit, uh, shared loans are a great way to get started, to start building your credit, right? So like I did when I came, I went through a horrible time some years ago. um, Business wasn't great, credit was like in the toilet. I was down to like four something in my credit score, like 423. I did three back-to-back shared loans, and it boosted my credit score a totality of the three, because I did two 4,000 and one for 2,000, and it boosted my credit score like 120 points total, right? And that got me, you know, up into that pushed me, up into the low 600s. And then when I hit that low 600, like 620, when I hit 620, I then there's a certain credit card that I applied for with Navy Federal, and boom, that gave me a instant bigger credit, bigger credit usage. Not credit usage, the amount of credit availability, the credit usage jumped up, and then my credit score just kept going up. So even if you're starting low, and I did all of that in, like, it took me like 6 months, and I went from like the high fours into the mid sixes just in 6 months. Now these people be like, oh, you can get your credit, I can get you in 790, or 740 in 30 days, 90 days. That's really just piggybacking. They're gonna piggyback you on somebody who has great credit. As long as you're attached to them, sure, you have great credit. But if you don't start making certain maneuvers while you're attached to them, your credit's gonna drop as soon as they take you off. Let's see, I don't want to miss any questions. Uh, what about credit scores that are lower than 500? Um, Credit scores lower than 500, you're not getting a mortgage. Period. I'm just be honest with you. It's because here's the thing: if you're at credit score below 500, if somebody did offer you a mortgage, it's going to be super high interest. Like right now, it's like 3.8. They're going to be offering you like 10, 15% interest. It's going to be incredibly high, which is pertinent illegal. So they're going to be offering you things like that. Then they're going to want 10, 20% down. If you got 20% down on a $200,000 house, which is what, $40,000, you can fix your credit. You fix your credit. Don't go and get a mortgage when you got to put $40,000 down on a $20,000 house. That's fix your credit money, right? Even pledge loans, you can do pledge loan up to $40,000, right? Is this all in your book? Yes, it is, Paula. This and more is in my book. I also tell you how to get on a budget. I can't stand how people teach you how to get your credit fixed, but then they don't teach you how to maintain it, and they don't teach you how to getting you to understand how a budget is your greatest ally, and how to manage your money. What's up, Paul? How you doing? And how to manage your money continuously, and how to live your life within the structure of a budget that you create, so no one else is mastering over your money but you. So in my book, the Financial Alchemy DIY on my website, Coach Renz, RENZ.com, it teaches you how to get your money in the right position, how to manage your money for the rest of your life as well. Because that program of how to manage my money, the only thing that's ever hurt me is being an entrepreneur and the ups and downs of business. If I was on a steady income my whole life, that would never be an issue. But being an entrepreneur is going to have its ups and downs. But you want to get your credit score above 500 even before you start getting a loan. But at 500, between 500 and 579, even with an FHA, you're still going to have 10% down. That means $20,000. You could take that $20,000 and go fix your credit first, and then get your credit score up, to where you only have to put 3.5% down on an FHA. All right. And the only reason somebody would put 10% down and get a conventional loan is because they're going to get that 3% interest rate, that 3.8% interest rate instead of 4.5. Because they're looking at, what am I going to save over the long term? Now, you still want to have a credit score over 600, because let's say you want a $300,000 house. That's $10,500 you got to have down. What if you want a $400,000 house or a $500,000 house? Even at 3.5, at that rate goes up exponentially, and you may not have all of that. So if you don't have all that, you may want to go and get you a bridge loan. Get you a loan from a bank that's paying your down payment. It will actually be a second, a home equity loan, but it'll be a second, considered a second mortgage. So it will be sub to the primary mortgage. Even if you went and got that, you're carrying two loans now. It's better to have the highest credit score you can possibly have so that your interest rate is as low as it is to keep your payment down and also manage the amount of money you're going to be spending over the life of the loan. Now, when I work with people as a realtor, I will show them how to do an amortization schedule once we get the loan so that they can actually skip, 5, 10, 15 years of interest. Well, yeah, 5, 10, 15 years of interest and not have to pay that interest even after they get the loan. But it's imperative to get the lowest interest rate that you possibly can before we do that so that the burden of amount of money you need to amortize your loan is decreased, right? So those are the kind of things we want to make. What's up, Kenny? We want to make sure of in doing it. So getting a pledge loan will boost your credit score, as well as do a pay to delete letter for your creditors, for anybody who got collections against you. Now, one other thing that you can do is tax season. People are gonna, I know everything's been pushed back a little bit, but let's have a plan for this tax money that you're about to get. If you need to boost your credit score, right? And you have so my popcorn shop, Uncle Renz Popcorn, a couple years ago, in a bad location, South Cab Mall, I went into $22,000 of debt on a credit card to keep that location going and then to buy out the contract to get out of that location. So I went into $22,000 of debt on my credit card. Now that dropped my credit score. So when your credit usage goes up above 30%, you're going to start seeing huge drops. I mean, it was like 53-point drop, 70-point drop. It was dropping harsh, right? Hurt my feelings when I was seeing these drops. But then after that, as I made more money selling popcorn online, doing other kinds of work, coaching, whatnot, I was able to put large chunks of money onto that. So I can knock it down. The more and more I knock that credit usage percentage down, the bigger my credit score went up. So, for instance, in one occasion, I was able to put $8,500 on that card to pay it down. By putting that $8,500 on that card to pay it down, my credit score, what was it? It jumped like almost 60 points by getting that credit usage down like that. My credit usage went down like 40%. So, because I don't have a lot of credit cards. I only have 3. No, I have 4. Sorry, I have 4 credit cards. But it dropped it down because my credit usage percentage decreased drastically. So when you get some chunks of money and you have high credit usage, put it on your card. Drop it down. I know you may have other things that you want to do, but if your plan is to buy a home, your credit usage needs to drop drastically. Because one of the things the mortgage company is going to look at, if you're getting a FHA loan, FHA will let you go to about 45, sometimes 50% of your bills, your debt to income ratio. So Christopher, your debt to income ratio. So you want to make sure that by dropping your debt, that it allows you to have, and then they'll say, okay, if we give you this mortgage is going to put your debt to income ratio where? Is it going to be at 30%, 40%, 50%? A conventional loan is only going to go max at around 30. A VA loan will let you go upwards of about 40, 42, 43. FHA will let you go up to 50 sometimes. So your debt to income ratio is going to make a big difference if you drop those credit cards, right? So you want to drop those credit cards those credit card limits and usage, in order for you to have the debt to income ratio to get the mortgage that to get a mortgage on the size house that you want. And these are the things that go into consideration. This is why I said earlier, get pre-approved, not pre-qualified. Um, because I mean, I have some new clients that I talked to on, what day was that? Thursday, I believe. Yeah, Thursday. And I was very adamant. Are you pre-approved or are you pre-qualified? Let me see the letter. Right? Let me see the letter. Till I see the letter, because my mindset is totally different with a pre-approved client than a pre-qualified client. Pre-qualified client, go get pre-approved. I don't want to go look at this house, go get pre-approved. Oh, I want to go look at this house, go get pre-approved. There's no point in us even going to look at a house until you're pre-approved, right? Because other than that, we're just wishing and we're just wasting your time and mine. And time is of the essence. I don't have time to waste. Hi, Eleanor. I didn't see you come on there. Randy, JD, Sunbeam. But we want to make sure we get these things taken care of. We want to have these understanding. So get your pre-approval, but get that debt to income ratio down as much as you possibly can. And utilize these monies that some people are getting to do that. Or if you get a chunk of money to do that, especially if you've been renting. And one of my clients, he's been renting, he's paying like, I think, what did he tell me? He showed me he's paying like $1,300 a month, a month for rent on an apartment, right? I'm like, you can have a house. You know, his credit score is high. And I'm like, you could have a house and pay a lot less than what you're paying now. And you have a house and you're building equity and your net worth goes up. So, of course, I said, go get pre-approved, right? Go get pre-approved right now. And don't call talking about this house or that house. Go get pre-approved. Stop paying rent. Stop paying rent. Rent is, if you plan on staying where you are in the city you're in for at least the next 5 to 10 years, stop paying rent. Stop paying rent. Let me tell you another thing that's going to happen if you're in the Atlanta area. If you're in Atlanta or if you're in a mid-sized city, right? And this is a sad but true thing. This whole COVID-19 thing has scared the bejesus out of people in these larger cities, New York, San Francisco, Chicago, these large congested cities. When all the dust settles and clears, which will probably be around the end of May, where everybody start getting back into their groove, those people in those cities will start planning to move. Some of them, a lot of them, will just be like, forget it, I'm done, shut it down, sell their property. And you gotta think, if you own a brownstone in New York, it could be a piece of crap brownstone in New York that sells for like like $700 to $1 million up there. That person up there knows that they can take the money they make off that house, you know, $300,000, $400,000, $600,000, come down to a city like Atlanta and get a house that is 3, 4, 5 times as big as what they had up in New York, and they will love it. Do you not think these people are not about to make a mad rush for Atlanta over the summer and over the in the fall? And when they do that, the price of housing in Atlanta will go up because the inventory will not be able to handle the rush of people that's coming. The interest rate will then go up because there will be so many people buying homes that the interest rate is going to go back up. So when I tell you that right now, if you're in a city like Atlanta or Dallas or, you know, any of these smaller cities, you're looking to buy a home, you need to get your ducks in a row right now in order for it to benefit you the greatest. Serenity, how you doing? So these things that we've discussed, these are just a few small things that we've discussed. We need to take care of those. What were they? Number one, if you have collections, those collections are worth about 20 to 25 points on your credit score. So we need to get those collections off. What's up, Michael? How you doing? And the way that we do that, if the letter that I send off, if the letter don't work and you've already sent the letter, you've done your challenges, you sent the letter to the CEO, you've done all these things to do that, and you come to that point where you just got to pay them off, record the phone call, make sure that they state that they will delete it off your credit, off the credit agencies, and make sure they send you a delete letter after you pay it off, right? Hold that delete letter, Keep that recording. If they don't delete it within 45 days, send the letter in. Actually, when I got it, I took a copy of the letter and I sent the letter to the credit bureau anyway, right off the bat. The payoff that I paid it off and that they're going to delete it, I went ahead and sent that off to the credit bureaus because I'm not waiting on them, right? So send that letter to the credit bureaus. Watch your credit over the next 45 days. Make sure it drops off. If it doesn't, call the credit reporting agency. Find out how they receive digital voice transmission. Send that recording to them so that they know that, hey, this was the agreement. Get that off your credit. You can have that done within 45 days where it drops off your credit. And like I said, I had two of them that was just, they just would not go away. I mean, I was doing everything, and I finally got to the point where I just had to pay them off. But that's how I did it to get them off my credit. And it was two of them, and it was like almost 50 points, almost a 50-point boost in my credit score. So you want to be able to get that because, like, we're buying another house. Me and my wife are going to buy it. We just got married in February, so we want to buy a house together this summer. So both of us are working to get our credit score up as high as possible by the time we get there so we can have the lowest interest rate. So if you got a collection, do that. Get those collections off. Take the money that you're about to receive, take the money you have, the money you got in savings, pay it off, all right? And then get those delete letters. The other thing, if you need to boost your credit score, and you can do all of this at the same time. So it's not like do this, then do that. Do it all at the same time. Go get a shared loan. Just talk to your credit union. Banks don't have this. Conventional banks don't have it. Go to your credit union. Join a credit union. I need a shared loan. Take whatever the monthly payment is and the total amount of interest for that shared loan. What's up, Jake? Total amount of interest and that payment. Put that in the savings that it's going to pull from and forget it. It's just like the old commercials. Set it and forget it. You set it in there and you forget it. Let it rotate and build you great payments, but also it will increase your credit score if you don't have credit. Even if you do have credit, it'll still increase it. And then pay down your credit cards. Pay down as much of your credit cards as you possibly can. Pay them down. Get your debt to income ratio much lower. It'll raise your credit score for one, and then when you go step in to get that mortgage, right? Then you will have a higher credit score. You get lower points, and then and then you'll be able to do an amortization schedule at an easier clip, as well as just having a lower payment. It's this one house that me and my wife really like. It's actually a couple of them that we really like, and at the average interest rate right now, that mortgage is a nice mortgage, but it needs to be nicer. So in order for us to get that particular house, we both need to get roughly about another 50-point boost in our credit score, and then that 50-point boost in both our credit score will cut that mortgage down drastically so that it's easier to manage. And that's what you want. You want your mortgage to be easier to manage, because if you get my DIY book, you'll see that your total living expenses shouldn't be more than 70% of what you make. All right, shouldn't be more than 70%. You don't ever want to be living where your shelter, your food, and all your debt that you have to pay is more than 70% of what you need, and your food, and your eating, your survival. You want to make sure it's below 70%, or 70% and below. If you can get it down to 50%, that's even better. But you want to get it down that way. That way, when you do run into issues and troubles and problems, you've already been building up savings, because 10% of it is going into savings and 10% is going into investing. So you've already been building that up. That way, if something happens, you go through a quarantine and you're not making as much money, or you get laid off, or one of your husband or wife get laid off, you're not in as much of a stress position as you would have been if you were living off 90% of your income. All right. So we want to go, and so that's one of the things. It teaches you how to do a 70-10-10-10 budget. It teaches you how to pay, a good method of paying your debt off, calling all your creditors, and how to set that up to pay it off in a 2080 program. So it's a bunch of information like that that's in the book, Financial Alchemy, DIY, on my Coach Renz, RENZ, page.com. It's a great book. Everything in there is still valid, up to date. If it wasn't, I would revise it. but it's up to date. But guys, this is how you can do that. Now, if you are in the Atlanta area and you're looking to buy a home, then contact me. I'm with Remax Metro City Side in Atlanta, Georgia. If you guys haven't been on my Homes for Sale Atlanta page, that's where you can see where I've toured some homes. There's a couple other videos. I have to reshoot all the homes that I did do before because there was an error in them, so I had to go and fix them. But the only way to fix them is to reshoot them. What's up, Jason? But I will be more than happy to help you. The greatest asset is for me to help you to get yourself in the best position to live in a home as easily as possible, but also mainly so that you can negotiate properly. I was talking to a couple. They were thinking that the builder's agent was their agent, and I had to explain to them that no, the builder's agent will treat you as a customer. Their interest and their loyalty is actually to the builder, not you as the person who's looking to purchase the home. So you need your own representation. You need somebody who's going to negotiate it properly for you. You use as much leverage to get the price point as low as you can possibly get it in order for you to get into the home, to make sure all the legalities are taken care of so you can get into the home without issue. There's nothing worse than getting to closing and yet there are things that have been left undone and you go to closing and you can't close. And then you lose your earnest money. Losing your earnest money is not fun. So if you want great representation for your purchase of a home, because yeah, any realtor can show you any house and they can tell you about it and they can sell you the house, but can they negotiate it for you? Can they make sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted? Can they make sure you're following the right process so that when you get to closing, you actually close on the home? And are they going to make sure that you are in a financial position to be able to handle this house? Because it is not the short term looking out for you for the long term. So if you are in the Atlanta area or you're looking to move to Atlanta area after this mess goes over and you want to get into a less congested cities, then contact me, Larenzo Reid. I'm with Remax Metro City Side. My number is 678-658-0055. And I appreciate you guys. It's been great. If you just now joined us, go back and listen to this video so that you can get that information on how to get. I mean, if you're in the 500s, I guarantee you over the next 3-4 months, if you do the players loan, pay off your credit, some collections, you can have a credit score that's in the 600s within the next 4 or 5 months. Once you get into that 600, it's a heck of a lot easier to get into a house. So this is all you need to do. Wait a minute, got a question. And if you have a question, I'll answer it. You're welcome, Wanda. Paula. How you doing, Wanda? I saw a question on the YouTube. I'm trying to create a template now to fix people credit along with my family's credit. Oh, that's cool. That's in my book. It's pretty much there's templates. It's ways. It's things people need to follow in order to do it. It took like 6 months to write that book because the amount of research that goes into it is tremendous. And I'm going to do some classes on Zoom. One, how to build a business plan, because I have an amazing business plan that got me. Even my credit score was like 390. I was able to get somebody to invest in my company, and then from their investment, be able to go get a loan with that business plan. But we also going to talk about budgeting and finances and how to actually do these. Get your life in a situation where you become less and less dependent upon a job and less dependent upon Social Security and that sort of thing. Are the sample letters in the book? Yes, all the sample letters are in the book. All sample letters are there. 2 different formats, samples of how to format your budget are there. The sample letter, and I mean, it's sample letters for the credit bureau, sample letters for the creditors, sample letters for the collection agencies, sample letters for the CEOs, and it's different sample letters. Let's say you've had a bad payment history. There's a sample letter in there of how to send this payment history forgiveness letter to the CEO of the company, so that, and oftentimes sending it to the CEO, they will pass it down and say, hey, just go ahead and do it. Or even to your banks and whatnot, any of your creditors. So you want to put those things in there. You want to send those things. Look, the more things you send off, the higher the probability is of you getting things done. And yeah, It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But so what? It's worth it. At the end of the day, if you're going to buy a house, it's worth it. And like I said, the difference between a point or a half point could be $20,000 of interest on a loan. You buying a $300,000 house, that's $20,000 of interest on your loan just by being a half point or a point lower. Uh, and that is worth it. Is that not worth you sending out some letters? Oh, and it tells you in there, Paula, just so you guys know, here's a little free thing. When you do the letter, don't type the letter, don't print the letter. Some of it can be typed, I mean, print out, but where you are putting your name, where you're putting the account number, and that is like either you're going to be putting no contract or invalid or something like that, depending upon what it is. Write that in blue ink. Don't write it in red ink. Don't write it. I mean, yeah, don't write it in red ink. Don't write it in. Um, oh my gosh, I just realized something. And don't type it out. And don't write it in black ink. Write it in blue ink. Blue ink. The machines that they put the letters through can't read blue ink, so it spits it out and forces a human to look at it. Now I want you to think about something. Are the humans at work right now? How you doing, Nidra? How you doing, Jim? Are the humans at work at Equifax and TransUnion? Are they working at the office? No. Hey, Juanita, they're not. So the humans are not at work. There's less humans doing the work. So now these humans are at home and they are distracted by binge watching Ozark, right? So since they're distracted and they're at home and they're all in fear, they're just writing stuff off. Do you think that they want to go and process everything like they would normally have to process everything? No, they would. They don't. No. Now, why somebody put an angry thing up there? What you angry about? But the humans are not at work right now. This is a great time. This is common like when the holiday season comes. The holiday season is always a great time to challenge all your credit stuff because there's less people at work and people are trying to get out of work. They're taking half days, all this kind of stuff, right? So you can get things knocked off a lot easier during the holidays. Like that's just a known thing, and it just happens every year. Right now is one of those times to get stuff knocked off your credit because they're gonna process it like that, right? So what's up, Willie? This is a great. I didn't even think about that. That this is a great time to challenge everything on your credit, to do your pay to delete letters, to get your slow pays, to challenge your slow pays, and then to ask forgiveness for slow pays. It's a great time to do all those things. All right, so go do that. Oh, and one last little thing: if you have a car, once you join a credit union, find out and you boost your credit score up. Refinance your. If you have a car that's being financed, refinance it. Refinance it at a lower interest rate. It's gonna save you just a couple $1,000, period. But refinancing it with a lower interest rate is gonna help you to buy a house at a lower interest rate. But you need to do that like now. Now and after you get your, and then you start looking for your house. Okay. So we're gonna end it right there, guys, because I know that my wife is gonna come down here in about 9 minutes and tell me that we gotta leave because we should have left 21 minutes ago. Uh, so we got to go and take care of some business real quick. So I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go tour. I have to tour another. I'm going to tour another home today and shoot another video on it. So I appreciate you guys for subscribing over at Homes for Sale Atlanta. That is my Homes for Sale Atlanta. That's my YouTube page where I do house tours, and I also will build that page more and more. We're doing videos telling people how to buy houses, how to fix their credit, and that sort of thing. All right, and also, you know what? This is also going to be a great time to buy investment properties too. So if you're interested in buying investment properties, these next six to 8 months is going to be a great time to buy those investment properties as well. I just thought about that because I got to call a client today who's buying an investment property. So yeah, this is a great time for investment properties because people are scared. People are like, oh my gosh, I got 20 properties that I bought with Airbnb. I got 50. I'm a super host. I got 50 properties I bought with Airbnb. Nobody's traveling. The travel industry is going to take a while to come back. I need to unload these Airbnb properties. So this is a great time to go buy a property that was formerly an Airbnb and then put that thing into a regular rent until if you did want to do an Airbnb, flip it into a regular rent. Go buy it, flip it into a regular rent until later on, and then you flip it into an Airbnb. But right now, flip it into a regular rent. So I gotta go talk to a client about that today. So y'all have a great day. Appreciate you guys. And as I say on my YouTube videos when I'm touring a house, let me help you to make whatever yours is your home sweet home. And fixing your credit is one of those things that we need to do, and getting pre-approved. Pre-approved. I will say pre-approved on blue in the face. Y'all get pre-approved. Please get pre-approved and stop getting pre-qualified, because pre-qualified is not good for you. So y'all have a great one. And this is going to be in. I got to turn off 3 different screens though.